Thank you.
Thank you, Ratemo. Thank you for Pelham, and thank you for the Kenya Hub for Organic Agriculture organizers for having us share this webinar with the multipliers and with the farmers on some knowledge and practical steps on regenerating soils for future generations. Also, thank you, Grace, for moderating this session. I hope we're going to work together in this presentation here. We will have some build-up supporting what multipliers have learned in previous sessions, and at the same time, just dive a little bit deeper into some details regarding soils and some practices. And this is aimed at enabling all of us to be very practical and be more proactive, building on the basic trainings that we had with the multipliers some 3 years ago. Also, feel free to share some of your findings and some of the insights, because this is about building knowledge. I'm also sharing this knowledge, and some of these slides you'll be seeing here are as a result of participating in other learning fora, and you will also have some reference and some resource materials that you can follow in your own free time. And I think it's prudent to say that there's an African proverb that we borrow land for future generations, and that it's not my land or the space in which I am producing, but that whatever I'm producing and for my own use, it's not only for my own use, but for my family, for the community, and for the world. And before I get into the focus of the presentation, allow me to just make this observation that whether you come from a Christian background or from a scientific background, and you believe in evolution, or you believe in the creation story, man was the last in terms of evolution, and even in the Bible story, and that nature and forests existed before man. So man started doing domestication, and can we say that man is the master of all this? Is man discovering what had already been put in place and claiming to be the master in the process of domestication? My thinking is that man has discovered a lot based on scientific advancements in relation to chemistry, but the existence of forests is a lot of biology, and that a lot has not yet been discovered. Even the number of microorganisms, we cannot tell. And man is still discovering even their names and giving them names. And so would be good for us to not feel as masters, but that we just part of this journey of living with nature and making sure that whatever we found is being restored. And learning how to restore this is very important as we do domestication. So I'm going to focus on life in the soil and specifically the role of microorganisms and also bioavailability of plant nutrients, why it matters to feed the soil so that plants can be fed through organic or through biological means, and also some of the practical strategies to combine soil microorganisms with mineral nutrients for healthy soils. Remember, the goal of improving soil and regenerating soils is so that we can have healthy soils. And if I can just start with some of the living organisms, I just want anybody in the webinar, what do you see there? What do you identify? What do you see? Yeah, somebody in the chat, what do you see? Just to make sure that we are together. Anybody in the chat? What do you see there?
Someone has said on chat, Mr. Musala, dry leaves. Wamoi
Yes.
says mushrooms. There's
Yes.
dry twigs.
Yes.
There's mushrooms from Mr. Paul Inoti.
Yes. Thank you. So we have a combination of living and living matter, living organism, and dead matter. And when we see these mushrooms, and these are, you allow me to call them fungi. When we see this, there is a lot underneath that there's a lot of network that is within this dead matter, and a lot of network that is also connected with the soil underneath. And that the presence of these living organisms stretches millions of years before we do any cultivation here. And the diversity of these living organisms is just a wonder for us to be able to understand and use in terms of regenerating soils in order to enhance bioavailability of plant nutrients. So when we talk about soil fertility, and that is usually the goal of every farmer or every producer, we are talking about a combination of organic matter, soil minerals, and how this interacts with microbial life, and how this also interacts with other elements that are not within the soil, but are like air and also soil water. So their interaction, what we can talk about the biological interactions, the chemical interactions, and the balance within a given area will give that particular soil the necessary conditions to be able to support a particular plant, so that we can say that soil fertility is the ability of that particular soil to sustain plant growth by providing essential plant nutrients and favorable chemical, physical, and biological characteristics. So that what are these biological characteristics, and what are these chemical characteristics, and what are these physical characteristics that we have to understand, so that we can be able to do our domestication and be able to generate that enhancement. And just looking at the biological characteristics and the presence of microbes and their roles, there are those that are very obvious for us. For example, when we talk about nitrogen fixation, and we mention the presence of nodules in the roots of legumes, is well known to many of us. When we talk about bioremediation and how it is important for, maybe it may be new for some of us. When we talk about phosphate solubilization, may also be very new and maybe not so new for us. And also plant growth promotion, maybe new and maybe also not new, but also the greenhouse gas mitigation and improved soil structure and water retention, and then pest and disease control. These are some of the biological interactions that microbes or living organisms play in the soil. And as we even grapple with the challenges of greenhouse gas emissions and climate change, then we can see why we talk about agroecology, and we talk about practices such as organic farming, and specifically use of living systems and encouraging living systems to function and having a closed loop. Why this is a strategy that helps us overcome challenges of greenhouse gas emissions and also on mitigating climate change. So we'll look at some of these that are not maybe so obvious for us, like phosphorus solubilization, pest and disease control, plant growth promotion, and bioremediation. How do these living organisms perform this function? And then later, how can we mimic some of these practicals and make connections, so that as we are training farmers, we also try to make connections on how we can regenerate the soils. So there is what we call a symbiotic association between plants and living organisms. The opposite of a symbiotic association would be a parasitic association. A parasitic, which comes from the word parasite, is that there is a host plant and there is a parasite which draws nutrients from that particular host plant, and the host plant suffers. But in a symbiotic association, we have mutual benefit, so that we have a host plant and we have another associate that have mutual benefit. For instance, one gets living space, and another one provides nutrients, and another one draws some of the nutrients, or some of the wastes are exchanged with some nutrients. And within this symbiotic relationship or symbiotic association between living organisms and microorganisms and plants, we have two categories. We have those that we call endophytes and ectophytes. So endo comes from the word inside. So there are those that will colonize the plant and then get inside. And there are those that are ecto, which will colonize the plant, but be outside the plant. And we have a very good example of fungi called Abuscula mycorrhiza, or AM. And what we are learning in these recent times is that there is colonization of these microorganisms around the root. And later we'll see that it's actually starting from the seed, and why it is important to have some practices starting with the seed and not in the field as we think about soil fertility. So some of these endophyte microorganisms will, their presence and numbers around the base of the plant will also prevent those that are pathogenic or those that are parasitic from getting in. You can imagine a situation where you have voters. You have voters who want to vote for you, and you have a higher number of voters making their presence at the base here, and as compared to your opponent who does not have any vote but wants to get into this polling station, so that you have a higher number of voters around this polling station here, and then they actually prevent the opposing candidates from coming here. And the opposing candidates here, you now call them parasites. And those who propose these candidates are actually the symbiotic associates. So that their presence here is beneficial to the plant. But what is the plant producing that enables them to colonize here? That at certain stages of their life, and it happens throughout, that once the plant is growing, it does photosynthesize. And the process of photosynthesis combines carbon dioxide with the presence of light and water, and then produces sugars. And in the process of producing sugars, oxygen is also released in the air. And so when we talk about bioremediation and greenhouse gas emissions, we can easily connect how the plant releases oxygen and also takes in carbon dioxide. But this carbon dioxide does not rest there. It is converted into energy, and some of the sugars there, about 20%, are now exchanged here, so that the voters here, their presence here is actually to get the sugars, and their presence here again now through a process of hormone imbalance and physiological needs of the plant. The plant will be able to indicate to those microorganisms the type of nutrients that it requires through the release of some enzymes, through the release of some stresses. For example, when we have some environmental stresses, and then this water demands, this plant will demand water and will actually respond to some of those conditions around it, outside the soil and inside the soil. So that what is happening outside the soil and inside the soil has got to be in balance. And noting that some of these endophytes, apart from getting into the plants through the roots, are also present in the leaves and even in the stems of this particular plant. So that at this particular place here when we are planting and we use biofertilizers, we are actually producing or providing the substrate for multiplication of these microorganisms so that they can be able to help the plant acquire nutrients. And one of the nutrients that in most cases is usually in soluble form is phosphorus. It can be abundant in the soil, and its abundance is in soluble form. And these microorganisms like AM actually will be able to make it soluble so that plants can be able to take. And the endophytes can be able to form long chains, just as I started explaining from the beginning, that when you see the fruiting body, underneath there is a lot of connection within the soil, and that connection is very important in relation with the plant roots and especially the root hairs, because these are the areas for exchange of those nutrients, and that is one key role of these microorganisms. And a practical way to achieve the endophytic inoculation or relationship is, for example, seed coating and dressing. For those multipliers that we had interactions with during the first trainings, and they learned about solid biostimulants. And these are inoculants that you can crush and then add some carrier material like clay and also with some ashes, so that you coat the seed, and that when that seed is starting, it starts from a very nutritive, with very nutritive elements that are also have abundance of the mycorrhiza fungi, and then the inoculation and the absorption of phosphorus and other minerals just starts at that particular point. Also, the use of lactic acid, and I think we did with most of the multipliers on the use of the lactic bacteria, that it helps prevent the germination or the presence of the other parasitic microorganisms, so that these practices are supposed to combine and not be done in isolation. And we can now look at that combination where we have the presence of living microorganisms on one side, and the common practices where we usually say we have dead soil. And we see that the microorganisms activities actually are producing positive impact on the soil microbes. And how do we enhance that? Issues, things like crop rotation, and then reduce the tillage. And this is very important, reduce the tillage, because I said there's a lot of connection in the soil, especially now of the fungi hyphae and their branches, so that when we do continuous cultivation, you are now breaking, and you also exposing most of these micro organisms to elements that are unfavorable to their existence, because they are used to getting into that symbiotic relationship, so that on this other side, practices like monoculture or overgrazing reduces their biodiversity and exposes the soil to elements of weather like hot sunshine, like erosion, and moving air. And then when you use fertilizers, for example, you just kill them because they are not used to that condition. And when we use, on this other hand, when we use organic amendments, when we use cover crops, and when we do rotational grazing, we give land the opportunity to rest. And also crop rotation, apart from rotational grazing, crop rotation will increase the number in terms of the species, because each crop has a certain type of microorganisms associated with them. And therefore, when we talk about biodiversity and increased crop diversity, we also relate that with the increased microbial diversity, so that there is a higher balance in an area that has got high biodiversity and more active species of microorganisms, as compared to a place where we have a field that has only a monocrop, and you are likely to have only one type of associate microorganisms. And if you again expose them to elements of weather, you find the soils becoming unhealthy, and therefore you have more parasitic or pathogenic pests. This is not the type of soil, this is not the type of land that you would want future generation to inherit. I think if you were to vote where you would want your future generation or your children and your grandchildren to possess land and knowledge, it would be here. So in the process of inoculating our seeds, we can also see that this is the starting point, because the presence of these microbes right from the seed actually gives them the resistance strain. And you would realize that we talk about seeds that are farmer managed or that are open pollinated. And some of the seeds that originate here in Africa, and if we talk about cowpeas, for example, and we talk about millet, you find that it has some of these properties, and that when hybridization is done, when we move away from nature, then these foods become very, very, very vulnerable to other stresses like droughts and even water loss. But those that are inherently produced within organic or biological settings have some of these resistance strains. And because the endophytes are found in their embryo, and through the process of inoculation and the growth and harvest, that these endophytes grow within the emerging seeds, and the whole process of germination, and it gives them those properties to be tolerant, so that when multipliers are training farmers and talking about the importance of using our own seeds, farmer managed seeds and open pollinated seeds, this become a very good point, that their association with the soil microorganisms is actually what gives them that defense, that they are able to withstand some of the seedborne diseases and are able to even germinate with less water. And therefore, when we're talking about climate change and why and how organic practices or agroecology practices are helping us to overcome and mitigate and adapt some of the climate crisis, then you have practical examples on how you can be able to share this. But what is the result of all this that I'm talking about? The implication of this is that you will have nutrient-dense foods. That if you are consuming some of this seed that has got this type of inoculation and this type of association, you often hear people saying that the taste of this particular vegetable or the taste of this particular seed or bean has got more flavor. And flavor is a result of some aromas and some of the enzymes that are generated through this association. And that some of the growth hormones and defense hormones are generated because of this microbial association. And therefore, this now gives what we usually say the organoleptic properties, the organic properties, the natural properties. And they are very different from soils that have been generated using organic inputs or biological cycles as compared to soils that you have used synthetic inputs. And I believe when we have nutrient dense foods because of all these properties, then you do not need to eat a lot to be able to fill and meet your nutritional requirements. And therefore, when somebody asks whether organic agriculture can feed the world, then the answer is yes, because we are producing nutrient-dense foods. And nutrient-dense foods, we only need to consume very little to meet our daily requirements and without harming the environment. So after looking at the biological properties and their association with the plants and their results, let us look at some of those biochemical properties and how they are also sequenced in line with their functions. Because as I said from the beginning, that through evolution, man is just discovering some of the connections that were already established, that were in balance, and in the process of domestication of plants, man has assumed that role of being the master instead of being just part. And because we are, the human race is also part of the animalia kingdom. So that we are supposed to not think as masters, but to work with nature. And I think this is a common talk, and that we're supposed to collaborate and see how forests exist and how we can enhance some of these biochemical sequences. So we have some essential nutrients that have a sequence. And I've just lined up here a sequence of these nutrients from boron, silica, calcium, nitrogen, magnesium, phosphorus, carbon, and potassium. And I would like to start with, not in that order, but with carbon, because I did mention that there is combination of carbon dioxide, which is air. When it mixes with water, it makes sugars and releases oxygen. So sugar is a solid, and you can see that only plants have the capacity to do this. Only green plants have the capacity to do this, and all other life forms depend on this process here, because this is the process that we get our food. All other processes, all animals actually depend on this, be it a lion or a tiger, because they have to eat an antelope that has grazed on a grass, which has these sugars, so that it gets their energy, and so that is what is transferred. So there's a sequence where boron is a mineral that allows sap or fluids to move up and down. I think I'll just remind about our high school biology that I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question. What are those vessels that allows sap or fluids to move up and down? Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat? Our high school biology, I'm asking multipliers, and I assume that they are doing extension, and they did some biology, and they actually did the structure of a stem, or the structure of
Yes.
a leaf.
Salome wants to say something. Salome,
Yes,
please
please.
unmute.
Or you can write in the chat.
There's a chat, xylem from Salome, and Stephen Ouma says xylem vessels.
Okay, thank you. We have the xylem and the phloem vessels, so that boron actually is the element that allows that movement to happen. And I will ask another one. I will ask another question. Normally, water, when has a tendency to move upwards. What do we call that process in biology? When water normally, if we pour it, we know that water will go down, but its characteristics is that if you put a wick or utambi or a cloth or a string, then that water will start flowing up. What do we call that?
We have a hand from Restful.
Yes.
Please go ahead and mute. Restful.
Yes. What is that process called?
I don't know whether I'm right or wrong. Eutrophism?
You have tried.
Eutrophism?
You have tried.
There is
You have
there
tried.
is phototropism and geotropism. Yeah.
Very good, the trial.
We have a chat from Mr. Kinoti and Beth. They both say osmosis.
Yes, there is osmosis, but I was looking for capillarity. The capillary.
Yes,
Yeah,
someone has just said it. From
okay.
Kennedy, capillary action.
Yes, capillarity action. So, I mean, there's some little, just basic biology in this, that now boron is the nutrient that is responsible for that. And then we have silica. They work together so that it's like a highway. Now it facilitates the efficient transport of plant nutrients. And then calcium, this is actually the nutrient carrier. It's like you have a truck, and it's actually calcium that is the truck that is carrying other nutrients. And then you have nitrogen, which is the basis of amino acids and protein formation and DNA. And DNA is actually responsible for multiplication, for replication. For when we talk about seed germination, I mean seed formation. When we talk about flower formation, and then there has to be some replication of the DNA, and it is the presence of proteins that really matters. And protein are built through the amino acids. We have magnesium, which is essential in energy transformation process. During that photosynthesis, then energy is being transformed from light energy. Then you have chemical energy. So magnesium plays an important role there. Then we have phosphorus. So this is the energy transfer. It associates itself with molecules within the plant saps, so that photosynthesis takes place in the leaves, and it's supposed to be transferred to where it is required, so that when we are growing sweet potatoes, photosynthesis is happening in the leaves, but the energy generated is being stored in the roots, so that you have a big tuber to eat. And in the maize, it's being generated from the leaves, and it gets into the grains. And I said carbon, and then potassium is a distributor of the synthesized sugars. So you have a whole cycle of a sequence of what activates boron, activates silicon carries and calcium combines nitrogen, and then you have those that do the transferring work. On one side, you have those that triggers and those that transfer. And then after the formation, there are those now who do the translocation. And then you can imagine if you have, for example, a shortage of soluble phosphorus, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen? I'm asking a question, and we said that the role of phosphorus is an energy transfer from the leaves, and it combines with those energy molecules. So what will happen if you do not have enough phosphorus? Hello? Yes? Teresa?
Let me try. I'm thinking
yes,
that
Teresa's hand is up. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Continue, Teresa.
Okay. I'm thinking the transfer of the nutrients will not take place, and then that means that the plant will not have the growth of the plant will be affected.
Okay, thank you. A good trial. What is the color that we usually see when we do not see when there isn't enough phosphorus? What symptoms? Purplish. That is good. Yeah. So you'll find that there will be accumulation. There will be accumulation of the sugars, and I think from our basic biology, purple color is actually an indicator for starch, so that this plant is not able to synthesize the sugars that are being produced. They are not being translocated, and because of the absence of phosphorus. And phosphorus is synthesized biologically by these microorganisms, and therefore the combination of the biological properties and the biochemical properties become very important in the translocation and in the growth, in the healthy growth of these plants. I'm sure in our high school and also in our colleges, we had the 16. We have the minor elements, and we talk about the major elements, and the absence of some of these will also result into the symptoms, and we leave it at that. But then I think at this level, we're seeing the role of this biochemical, these nutrients in relation with their translocation with the living organisms, and why it is important, why when we now talk about regenerating soils and organic agriculture, then this is very, very important. The biochemical sequence helps now plants to be able to get a balance. And then the practical way to enhance these biochemical properties is now what we all know. We do organic foliar fertilization. And this increases and activates more microbial presence, especially now above the ground on the leaves. So that, for instance, plants can be able to do photosynthesis more efficient, and also targeted nutrient provision, so that some of these processes of doing foliar fertilization through fermentations targets certain plant nutrients like boron, like phosphorus, because if they are not present in the soil, then you do the boosting. And this boosting enables the plant to be more efficient right at the roots and also from the leaves. And then also crop diversity, because this is just for purposes of enabling that diversity in the nutrient cycles and efficient flows. So that the purpose of diversity is not that we just will have more food, but it's that we'll also enrich the soil with more nutrient cycles and efficient flows. Then can we just look also at some of the physical properties? And I think these are some of the things that we see. They are very open, and it's also mostly what we do in our day-to-day extension. But most important, how they also relate with the biochemical and also the biological properties within the soil, so that we can achieve regeneration through tree crop integration within the same cropland, so that we talk about agroforestry. We also talk about composting, and practically good composting. And good composting is aimed at enabling enabling more of the beneficial microorganisms to be present in the soil, and at the same time providing food in the form of the dead organic matter being taken back into the soil to replenish what has already been consumed by the microorganisms. So that composting is not just a source of fertilization, but it's a source of food for microorganisms that then help us in mobilizing for the nutrients that the plant require. You have bokashi, and if I always say that if you have compost is like bread and bokashi is like a cake, what is the difference? You have more nutrients in bokashi that also helps in the process of inoculation. You increase that number of microorganisms so that they can be able to take up their functions. I will maybe just give another example here on what, when we compare compost and bokashi, and when we talk about having a higher number of microorganisms here, that both in composting and in bokashi making, there is succession of microorganisms before they do the inoculation into the soil. So this succession is important because you enable a process of biological cycles and diversity of microorganisms within a given substrate to function. That is very important in terms of the diversity and availability and bioavailability of nutrients in the soil. Mulching now comes to cover all that you have done. And mulching is just mimicking nature. And from the very first slide, I started showing dry leaves, and you have now the mushrooms and undisturbed area. So these are some of the physical properties that must be enhanced. And most important for the multipliers, just to understand that when we are doing mulching, what is it aimed at? We really aiming at replenishing mimicking nature. Just the same way you would have a forest that drops the leaves, and it drops the leaves in succession, one after the other, and then covers the soil, and the soil underneath is rich with microorganisms, and some of the microorganisms is like the mushrooms that you see. And in places where you have more fallow periods and you have a lot of microorganisms, you will see even the edible mushrooms coming out. This is a delicacy in Western Kenya. So this is just what I'm talking about. Diversity of crops. I don't know how many crops you can see here. Anybody in the chat? Hello, anybody in the chat? How many crops can you see here? Hello.
I think they're counting so that they give you an answer.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm also trying to count.
This your internet is breaking, but it is good to start with the 3. When we talk about diversity, start with the 3, move to 6, then move to 8, 9, and even 12, so that you have a wide range of crops that have different functions. And permaculture gives us some of the tools to be able to know how we can combine these crops and where we can place what, and so that we really mimic how nature functions. So
Fredinand,
we have some practical.
Ferdinand, in our chat, yes, we have Esther saying 4 different crops, and we have Wamboi saying 3 crops from the picture.
A very good trial. We have about 6 crops, more than 6 crops here. Can you see pumpkin? The very last end here. Then we have, yes, banana here. We have sugarcane here. We have nduma here. Yeah. And then we have some nightshade here. Then we have here, this one here is climbing what do we call it, Derema. Yeah. Okay, but thank you for the trial. And we have some practical here, and just a very simple one, how you can be able to get a water soluble calcium from eggshells. And I'm trying to use this so that we can see how we also integrate livestock, and why livestock is important in organic agriculture or in our agro ecosystems. That you see you see birds and those that are close to us, like chicken, are picking a lot of grit or stones. They use some of these stones in their gizzard to digest food. And I think if you remember your geography lesson, and you did some weathering, a topic on weathering, that is biological, there's physical, and also chemical, and that these minerals are present in these rocks. So when the birds are consuming these minerals, when they combine with the biology in their gut, that helps extract some of these minerals and for their own function. And the same process that happens in plants, you also can see that animals, now some of the animals like the monoruminants, the like birds, are also using what is available in nature to be able to draw some of the minerals that they require. And in the process of egg formation, the outer shell, 90% is actually calcium, made of calcium. And this is extracted from the feeds, from the rocks that they eat. If you feed your chicken with very nice phosphate-based materials, then you find the eggshells are very strong. If you feed them on, if they have phosphorus deficiency, for example, and calcium, deficiency, you will find that it will even lay eggs without the outer cover. So we need about 12 eggshells, meaning this egg here, you break 12 of them. And then you also need 4 liters of vinegar. I think you know vinegar, the one that we use in our kitchen. And then you also need an open container. But here, for purposes of this, I'm just using a glass. And so you will crush the eggshells. I already crushed mine here, so that you dry them first of all, and then crush those eggshells, and then put in an open frying pan, and then as if you are unakaranga njugu, as if you are frying. So make sure that they all dry, and so that the membranes can get out of the shells. And then you will add, get the open container with your vinegar, and then just keep on. I mean, you can add, and then you can now start. You can stir with a wooden spoon or a plastic spoon, and after some time, it should start bubbling. If you let it stay for about 1 or 2 days, then it will start bubbling. It will produce a white color. And you'll see some bubbles. A hissing sound and some bubbles. Can you see? Can you see how it's behaving?
Yes.
Please thumbs up if you can see.
Now saying yes.
Yes, they can see. Maybe I take it close to the to the camera. I'm sure you cannot hear the voice. I mean the sound of the hissing sound, but you can see some biological activity taking place. Some reactions. So sorry, not biological, but some chemical reactions taking place. So then just keep on
Maybe
stirring.
one boy is saying she cannot see. One boy on farm, you can see some bubbles on chat. He's saying she cannot see.
So here are the bubbles.
I'm not trying into your stuff. You're going to do things just in the house. Okay.
So maybe I don't know if your camera is not so good. Maybe you may not be seeing.
Or Ferdinand, do you mind
Yes.
stopping sharing and then you show
Yes.
us and then you
Okay.
project and continue so that the screen is bigger, if you don't mind.
It's okay. Let me just yeah. So can you see that? Can you see that?
You need to stop sharing so that your screen is bigger.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Stop sharing your PowerPoint so that we see you more. Okay. Please confirm if you can see Ferdinand and the bubbles. Okay, I'm
Yes.
seeing some yes. Put a thumbs up. Please continue, Ferdinand.
Yes. So after, let me just continue the screen sharing. So after about a day or 2 days after the bubbles have stopped, then you can strain. Well, some very good reaction is taking place here. I just like to see after I do the stirring, then because I'm just using a smaller container so that you could be able to see.
I can see, in terms of quantity, what is the size of that container?
Yeah, this is just a glass, but you need to have 4 liters container that should have 4 liters of the vinegar. Yeah, but you can see after I do the stirring, you can see what's happening there. Yeah, so this you keep on stirring, and occasionally you will see bubbles coming out like that. Yeah.
I can see.
Okay. Nice. And it will form some froth. So just keep on stirring, and then after about 2 days, once it's complete, then you can sieve. Not all of the eggshells will have been finished. So you can strain and again dry them. You can reuse them later, or you can put in your compost or in your wormery. But I find it most useful to, again, you can just dry them and also feed them to your chicken so that they can still get more calcium. And then I want to how many milliliters are there in 1 liter? How many milliliters are there in 1 liter? Because you will maybe do practically and then be able to maybe train farmers and be able to demonstrate. I think this is a gift for you during this presentation, that you are able to have a practical, very simple one, based on the learnings that we've had here on a combination of biological properties of a soil, biochemical properties, and physical properties, and how you can generate practical from a combination of all these, be able to help farmers understand. Be able to help farmers understand why it is important to do what we are doing in organic agriculture, or within the whole agroecological ecosystem. I asked a question: how many milliliters are there in 1 liter of water? Any hands?
There are people on the chat. We have Andrew 1000 cc, Kennedy 1000 millimeter, Mr. Kinoti 1000, on oil 1000.
Okay, good. So you will need a syringe of just 1 milliliter of this stuff here into 1 liter of water, and then you can spray that. It is suitable for before fruiting, and you know, you just enabling calcium availability of calcium. There's somebody who's been waiting for. Sorry. Did you forget to admit some people, Ratemo? Yeah, so that marks the end of my presentation, and I think we can have an interactive session. And I think this slide here contains some resources you can read. You can also do your own phosphate extraction from some of the resources that I've shared here. And then you can help farmers with some of these practicals, and a combination of all these, not just one. So thank you so much for those who have listened. And if there are, I'll stop sharing. And if there are any comments, you're welcome. And any reactions to this, you also are welcome. Maybe back to you, Grace.
Thank you, Ferdinand. I think I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you have a question, this is your time. We are going to take 20 minutes for questions and answers. So for those who are joining on Facebook, please put on the chat. We're going to ask our trainer to respond. So we have myself and Ms. Soy who are going to read out the questions. For those who are here, I think you can unmute and ask your question. If not, you can put on chat. So please, this is now question and answer.
Yeah, you can also just say some comments also. You're welcome, and based on some of the practices that after we had the trainings as relates to either bokashi, compost use, and some of the trainings that we had. Remember, this was meant to provide some backup information and also as part of just advancing some of the practices that we've had.
I have a question, maybe as people are deliberating. In terms of getting nutrients for other components like phosphorus, do we have a formula? I think the one you shared was calcium, right?
Yes. Good. I think in some of the resources I've shared, in fact, this video I could also share, but it's you can actually get phosphorus from bones, and it's a very simple process. You can burn bones from carcasses from the butchery. You can just light a fire and then burn everything, and then use firewood, dry firewood to burn. And then you can have a collection of some white stuff. You will have white ash, and then we have a process we call pyrolysis. I think this is where I now needed the whiteboard. Let me try and see whether I can use the whiteboard here. If it works, if it doesn't work, well and good. But that's a very good question. You can admit there are some two people who are.
Yes, I'm admitted. Maybe Misoy on farm would we have questions on Facebook?
So far at Emo, we do not have any question on Facebook.
So I'm just trying to make an illustration on the whiteboard. I don't know. It's not coming. Eh? You have the the owner. You are the owner.
I see a whiteboard. I think everyone can comment, write. Do you have something you want them to write?
I wanted to draw something, but seemingly it's like it's not possible. Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that it's possible for you to get phosphorus from bones, and the process is that you burn bones, and then you use a process we call pyrolysis. So you, after collecting the bones, the ashes, then you get a pipe that has got some stands about 6 centimeters from the ground, but just about a 4-inch pipe, steel pipe, and then you put some sawdust or bran. Rice husks are the best, because rice husks actually concentrates a lot of silicon. And then you'll start a fire, and then you put your ashes around there. The purpose of using rice husks, the same way we usually use them in our bokashi, is that calcium and the phosphorus has got very strong bond, but then in the presence of fire, silicon will bind to calcium so that it leaves phosphorus. So that now you will have phosphorus separated from calcium from that ash mixture. And then you can now use that phosphorus, ferment it, do a fermentation process, which I think in our first trainings we did address. And then you can even use it in your bokashi, add it in your bokashi, and the microorganisms will help synthesize, make them soluble. So that's how you can get rock phosphorus powder. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think those who visited biology, I think, have seen that, and I think for those we did the trainings, I did explain a bit of that. Thank you. Thank you for the question also.
Okay, I open the floor before we have like 5 minutes, but we can still add time if you have more questions. So I open the floor on Facebook and here. If you have a question, this is the time.
Ratemo, maybe I can ask, I can start with the questions in our Facebook page. We
Please
have
go ahead.
Aloy Mbeheze. He's saying, hi, I would like to know what Pelham does, your core mission and vision. So Aloy is interested in knowing more about Pelham. Maybe Ratemo, you will, can you respond to that shortly?
Yes, I can. Pelham Kenya is a network of association. Pelham stands for Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, a network in East and Southern Africa in 14 countries. So we have Pelham Kenya, we have Pelham Uganda, we have Pelham Eswatini. There are 14 countries, and each chapter is autonomous. And Pelham Kenya is a network member organization of 60 organizations promoting agroecology and environmental conservation. So today we are here for capacity building in terms of agroecological concepts. That's why we are learning about regenerative soils. What I'll do, I'm going to share a link to our website for the question who asked, so that now you can go ahead and read more about Pelham and reach out if you have more questions. Yeah, I'm going to put a link to the person who asked the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratemo. Another question to Ferdinand is from George. Can that solution be given to animals in case one is looking for calcium in animals? Since I understand one can mix egg shells with meals for animals. So George is asking if that can be given to animals, Ferdinand.
No, please. You can get animals from the salt licks actually contain, because they are just minerals that are mined from the rocks, and you have calcium, the limestone. You know, cows and other, they usually lick this, and they get it from the salt lick. And I think if you give your animals the salt lick, it contains the calcium that they will need. Not using this, please. Sorry for that. This is just for plant use, making it more soluble so that plants can be able to absorb it through their leaves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ferdinand, for that clarification. And now, Ratemo, you can continue on the charts from the Zoom meeting if there are questions there.
I don't see any questions. So what I saw was about the presentation. Do not worry. We are going to share the presentation, the link, or the presentation for the whole week. We are going to share to everyone who registered. So I think we have finished the question and answer. Maybe people are still reflecting about the wonderful presentation from Mr. Wafula. So what we will do, he's going to share maybe an email or a contact for further questions. You can reach him. maybe Ferdinand, you can now give your parting shots as we wind up. And if possible, your information, how can people reach you for more questions? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity for organizing this learning and sharing and knowledge generation. I would say it's important for us to try out something, to try and be innovative, and also read and do some practicals that you have learned from previous lessons, and also from just your own insight, because we want to change our food systems, and this change is going to come from us. It's going to come from how we deal with the soil. The soil is a medium that enables us change this. You can see that if you have the bioavailability of nutrients in the soil, that will even affect the quality of the food that we eat. It's going to be even nutrient dense. And a lot of publications, a lot of research has been done on why this is actually important, and why now more than ever before we have to just get into changing our food systems and get into agroecology. So the executive officer and the trainer of biogardening innovations, you can reach us on Facebook. You can just Google biogardening innovations or Fredinand Wafula. And in case of any further inquiries, you can also reach out through the chats, through Facebook, through Pelham. We can always connect, and we can always assist each other in unraveling some of the questions that you may be having. Thank you so much for the organization, and thank you so much for the moderation, Grace. I think that marks the end.
Thank you, Ferdinand. I think we have finished. And for everyone who joined us, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And maybe I give Misoi the final remarks and the moderator, and then we close. For those who can switch on their camera, please do. We are going to take a photo. Yeah. Back to you, Misoi.
Thank you so much, Ratemo. I want to appreciate Mr. Ferdinand for the work well done. That was so informative, and I'm sure our followers have really benefited from this. As we wind up, I also want to apologize to some of our followers who are not able to join us on Facebook. We are going to work on that so that by tomorrow, you're all able to follow us. And I want to introduce our next trainer who will be training us tomorrow. I don't know if she's in. Tomorrow we shall have this powerful lady, a beautiful lady. Tunamwita mwanamke bomba in Swahili. Who will be training us tomorrow. She's Esther Kiruthi on kitchen gardening. I don't know, Esther, if you're around. Esther, if she's not in, please prepare. Tomorrow we shall be having Esther training us. And she's also one powerful lady, and I'm looking forward to have her tomorrow. Kindly keep time, same place, same time. Tell more people. We want to have as many people as we can. As you can see on the advert, we shall be having Esther Kiruthi tomorrow. Kindly tell a friend to tell a friend.
Hi,
we need to share this information. Wow, I can hear her. Esther, kindly say hi to the team.
Hi. I look forward for the day tomorrow. Ferdinand, well done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. At least you have a sneak peek of what will happen tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. And we are looking forward to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes, bye.
Okay.